Center.
Okay. Thank you, Marty. Can you hear me?
I hear you.
Okay. So actually, I'm going to talk a little bit about the science behind the medicine of this new field.
Muted.
Actually, it's been growing rapidly, called anti-aging preventive regenerative medicine. These are my qualifications, and I'm board certified in internal medicine and a member of the American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine and American Society of Obesity Medicine. And I'm also the founder of the Southern California Center for Anti-Aging and Medical Weight Loss. So anti-aging medicine is basically, Mary is a perfect example. At age 75, in this picture, she won the Alcatraz swim by going directly across San Francisco Bay. And it's a new way of thinking. She's beautiful and fit at age 75 and does something like that, which is amazing. People want to live longer. They want to live healthier. And it probably goes back before 1996. Time magazine always has their finger on the pulse of what's going on in the changing world. I didn't search past 1996, but I'm sure they started a long time ago. But this is just to give you a reference point. Here it is in 96, and in 2004, they're talking about living to be 100 years old. And in 2010, the science of living longer pops up again. And in this one, it looks like they're really thinking about, living to be 142 years old now. And this was very current, March 2015. So what is anti-aging medicine? Basically, it's advanced preventive medicine, and it uses biomedical technologies to promote and extend the healthy human lifespan. And biomedical is basically a fusion of biology and technology. That's what we're looking for, to live longer and better. So I think everybody knows the current system is broken. It really isn't working anymore. The future, actually right now in the future, is on preventing disease from occurring in the first place. This American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine is where most of us get our education. It's actually around the world. There's the World Anti-Aging Congress, as well as various different countries have their own societies, and then they all meet a couple times a year as the World Anti-Aging Congress. 20 years ago, 10 forward-thinking physicians and scientists got together and started this, thinking that we needed a new medical specialty. And today there's 26,000 physicians and scientists around the world and 120 countries. It is the fastest growing medical specialty in the world. The goals, by the time you get out of here, you're going to know the goals by heart. To maintain your youthfulness as you age, prevent, reverse, treat degenerative diseases associated with aging. And we can actually prove that you reverse diseases with aging. Take, for example, somebody who has osteopenia, which is bone loss. You can detect that on a DEXA scan. And after they're treated on an anti-aging program for a few years, you can repeat that same scan and actually see that biomarker of aging reverse. And there's several biomarkers of aging that we can prove that we've actually reversed aging. Despite everything that's going on in the world today, all of our terrorism and problems, all major causes of diseases are declining. And the life expectancy is increasing. In the 1900s, it was 47 years. In 2000, 72 years, and in 2015, 82 years. That's amazing. And the interesting thing is medical knowledge grows exponentially. It took 50 years in 1950 for medical knowledge to double. 7 years in 1980, 2010, 3.5 years, and it's projected by 2020, 73 days, medical knowledge will double. That is amazing to me. And life expectancy increases exponentially. You can see this chart. the American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine, these are the guys who founded it. And actually, it's increasing more rapidly than they predicted. For example, they predicted by 2010, the maximum lifespan would only be around 80 years. That's okay. But in 2020, they don't predict much more, maybe 94 years. However, we've got plenty of people now saying that by 2020, people are going to be living in excess of 115 years. And by 2030, they're projecting lifespans in excess of 120 years and cures to cancer. And some of it sounds fantastical, but it's really not. When you look at the history, that's how it's going. And of course, there's no real reason why we have to age now that we know everything that we know. 50% of the baby boomers that are alive today and practice this anti-aging lifestyle management and medicine will live to see their 100th birthday. So I think most people would want to live to be 100 if they knew they weren't going to end up like this guy. Most people think of aging as a normal process. Your hormones decline as you age, you become frail, gray hair, sort of like that man, muscle weakness, dementia. People think it's all normal. And then you're going to end up with a major disease of aging. Down here, you're going to end up with some kind of cancer or diabetes or osteoporosis or dementia. But that isn't really true. This is true. Aging does have no mercy. But the new thinking is that we're not prisoners of our genetic destiny anymore. Aging really isn't inevitable. And down here, you can see aging is bodily degeneration, which can be prevented, treated, delayed, or reversed. You'll see this again and again as the major definition of anti-aging preventive regenerative medicine. And this guy, I love this guy, Bob Del Monte. He was into fitness his whole life and healthy lifestyle, but this is what he looked like at 80. And Kelly Nelson right here is 73, and she started an anti-aging program at 68. And her daughter here is 44 years old. They're both champion bike riders and have won master champion races. So this is all good and dandy, but how are we going to achieve this? And these are the top biotechnologies for achieving longevity. So most of you have probably heard about genetic engineering already. That includes stem cells. But basically, genetic engineering allows scientists to alter your genetic makeup by manipulating your genes. They can also eradicate disease by manipulating genes. And we'll get into that in a little while. Also, there's therapeutic cloning. We're all familiar with that, back to the time of Dolly. But they're not going to be using this that much in the future. They don't have to because of stem cells and artificial organs. Therapeutic cloning was thought to be like it was going to be a great source of organs, but we don't need it anymore. Nanotechnology, on the other hand, we do need. This is the study of manipulating matter at an atomic level. And for an example, just to see how big a nanogram is, a sheet of newspaper is 100,000 nanograms thick. So we're talking about sending in tiny little robots into the bloodstream, maybe to deliver drugs to a site or to repair damaged tissue or even detect cancer cells. And then artificial organs is pretty much self-explanatory. And here again, Time magazine having their pulse on the future, 2001, talking about cloning. And we had to throw Scientific American in there too, just for a little diversity. Now, stem cells are going to have a huge amount of potential uses in the future. Right now, all I know that they're using them for is bone marrows, and in orthopedics, they're used for joint injuries. But stem cells are basically cells that can develop into any type of other cell. like muscle, blood, nerve, skin, just for an example. So they can potentially in the future regenerate all your body cells. So these things will be pretty much treatable. They're on the cusp, but not quite there yet. This is an idea to give, this slide gives you an idea of the sizes of drug delivery, like in 1972, 1992 got smaller. In 2002, it even got smaller. And then you skip over here, this is 1 inch. And these are the size of a dime. And then we're going to get into the nanotechnology, which you can't even see with the human eye. So these are some of the milestones with artificial organs. I read about the other day about the first artificial pancreas in the United States being used, but obviously in France they started sooner. And this synthetic skin has been available for a while, and this is a big boon to burn victims because they never had a good thing to put over their skin when they burned. They were subject to all kinds of infections and whatnot. Well, now we can cover those burn patients with synthetic skin. And there's so many other things on the way. For example, this is a bioartificial organ. It's an ear grown in a petri dish, and it's functionable. And then I couldn't resist, talking about 3D bioprinting. Organs are already being made in a process they call bioprint, and that involves this bio ink made of cells. And then they use that and deposit that, and it has resulted in functional living tissue in the laboratory so far. Human use probably isn't too far along, though. And this is not a good picture. I apologize for that, but I think you get the idea. This bull has a ton of extra muscle, and he is born that way naturally. He has a gene that produces high amounts of muscle. And so some people are thinking that the next generation of like athletic doping might be gene doping, where they artificially develop these genes to give people more muscle. And right now they're using it for muscular dystrophy patients or people with polio that are lacking muscle. But it will probably come to the sports industry, and I hear that it's very hard to detect it also. So this gets into the next slide, which shows you that anti-aging medicine, or this advanced preventive medicine, really evolved from sports medicine. Because in sports, they're always thinking, how can we get our athletes smarter, faster, sharper? And so that morphed into anti-aging medicine, where most people want to take advantage of that. And then the next stage, which is already sort of here, human enhancement and augmentation. And I'll get into explaining that. Here's augmentation technology. Up here you see this hybrid assisted limb in the left corner. And that is a cyborg type robot where bodily functions can be improved. You see they help with walking. They can even be enhanced. And then we have myoelectric prosthesis that uses the existing muscles in a residual limb. Let's say this guy had his arm, cut off in an accident, but they can attach this to whatever is remaining to control the functions of the arm. The neuroprosthesis is the thing that I think is incredible. These are devices that can be linked right into your nervous system and enhance your cognitive, motor, muscular, sensory abilities. I want one of those. And then this is also one of my favorites from the days of RoboCop. You can see that these exoskeletons are wearable technology, and it's mechanically enhanced body armor, which allows these people, mostly for war, they can jump higher, run faster, have faster reflexes. But all these things, a lot of these advances start in military and eventually come down to us. And of course, I don't think a talk about anti-aging regenerative medicine is complete without talking about genetic testing, which I'm sure you've all heard of. A couple of things you may or may not have heard of, though, is that they have developed a tool called CRISPR, which allows scientists to edit the genomes with so much precision and efficiency that it's like made a huge difference. And this is just a little something for you to look at and maybe get a laugh. Okay. So this is a diagram of how are we going to arrive at what they call practical immortality. So, and I believe this is also a little bit not rapid enough. It's actually moving faster than it says here, but so they're talking about lifespans of 80 years. And we're combating the diseases of aging right now with medications. There's 800 coming down the pipeline. And we're using stem cells, DNA repair, telomerase, which I will talk about shortly. So then if you could make it to this bridge here, now they're saying about 2029, and this is the American Academy and the World Congress of Anti-Aging Medicine. They predict lifespans of about 120 years. Then using genomic medicine and artificial organs, if you can hang in there by 2050, lifespans of 150 to 200 years by using these machine-based human enhancements. I sort of think that this genomic medicine, artificial organs, this is almost already here, so it's probably going to be sooner than 2050. As a matter of fact, Ray Kurzweil, who's futurist, predicts that humans will live basically forever starting in 2029. So you get a little bit different opinions on that. I think that Marty did a great job talking about the difference between the longest living and the shortest living people. So I'm going to skip those traits. I'm going to go more behind the science of why we age. Remember I mentioned telomeres? Well, you can think of these as the end segments of like a shoelace cap. You know, those plastic things on the end that kind of keep it from unraveling. Well, the telomeres are the DNA found at the end of your chromosomes. And every time a cell divides, the telomere gets shorter and eventually the cell's going to die. That's like every time the shoelace cap divides, let's say, those little white things get smaller and smaller and unravel a little bit more until finally they're gone. And then I hate this theory, glycation, because I love sugar, but beware, sugar is not just a piece of pie or an ice cream. It could be too much fruit or even carbohydrates. Time Magazine, February 2004. Inflammation, the source of heart disease, colon cancer, Alzheimer's, diabetes, and autoimmune diseases. As a matter of fact, in our field, we call it inflammaging. Somebody coined that term. Another theory here is the free radical theory. When you age, you can see that your cells get damaged from all these different things. From UV light damages your DNA, radiation damages the DNA, smoking, inflammation, and air pollution. And when your DNA gets damaged, because all these things cause the formation of something called free radicals, which are damaging molecules. And one of my favorite theories here is the neuroendocrine theory, because I highly believe in all of them, but this is the one that I sort of specialize in it. We age because our hormones decline. Our hormones don't decline because we age. And as your hormones decline, it increases that inflammation. So they some of these are additive, of course. And this might be a surprise to the listeners out there. All hormone levels start to decline in both men and women at around age 25 to 30. And in men, they decline slowly. In women, they decline more rapidly, and by usually age 52, they cease to exist altogether, and women go into menopause. And men have their male menopause, which we call andropause, which is a more gradual decline of your hormones. The whole premise behind treating your body is getting your body into balance. And we're talking about all kinds of balance. And how does a typical medical anti-aging program do this? First, this is a different kind of medicine than when you go to your own doctor and get seen maybe for 15 minutes and get a pill. This isn't like that. This is, you spend lots of time with the doctor. Usually I spend about 2 hours with my patients doing a very comprehensive medical history, getting to know you, what you want, and a pretty thorough physical exam. And then most people get these advanced diagnostic testing, and that usually includes organ function, hormone levels, heart and cancer risks, and inflammatory risks. Then the basic pillars of the anti-aging medical program would be hormone evaluation and then restoring and balancing where you're low or absent, controlling inflammation, analyzing what free radicals you have and your antioxidant levels, and then giving you targeted supplementation to repair that. Also, detoxification of the body, very important. Repair and prevent the DNA damage that sort of goes along with the antioxidants. Lifestyle modification, which Marty talked very well about, but we also go through kind of the same things that he does. Bolstering your immune function, assessing and hoping to increase and helping to increase your exercise capacity. Then some patients want even more than that or may need more than that. So all these things are available, including targeted vitamin and fatty acid and mineral deficiencies, testing for that, heavy metals, cancer markers, advanced heart markers, genetic testing, food allergies, telomere analysis. We can actually do a test to look at the length of your telomeres, and if they're small, there's targeted interventions to try to make them longer. Then a program, it's funny because it's a custom program, and it may not include all these aspects if you don't need it, but usually it does. When all the results of all your tests come in, then we're going to go through stress reduction, exercise, what is the appropriate diet for you. Maybe you'll do well on an anti-inflammatory diet. Maybe you need a weight loss diet. Maybe you need the Mediterranean diet. There's all different types of diets, and so you need to know which one is right for you. Nutraceuticals are the supplements. Detoxification is so important because we're in such a polluted, toxic world. Inflammation control and hormone balancing with what we call bioidentical hormones. Those are human identical hormones. They are not the synthetic ones that the drug companies push. These are special hormones made by a compounding pharmacy specifically for what the individual needs. And then I just put these in here real quick because I want to show you a couple things. We owe a lot to her. People ridicule her, Suzanne Summers and whatnot, but she sticks her neck out and promotes this anti-aging program. And look at her. She's great. She's 64 years old. She's beautiful in person. She's so energetic. She has nothing to gain by sticking her neck out there, so you know she's just speaking from her heart. And I put this in for fun because I guess people can go too far with cosmetic surgery. And then, of course, so what are you going to get out of this whole anti-aging program? Well, you know, I started this about 8 years ago myself, and I get pretty much everything listed here. Better energy levels, sense of well-being really starts to boost up, better libido and sex performance. You can, you know, improve exercise capacity, strength. Your immune function gets so much better that you're not getting sick all the time, and that's how you stave off those diseases of aging. That's one way. Your overall quality of life is improved, basically, and you can prevent many of those diseases of aging. And then I just want to leave you with some ways to live longer and better. I'm going to go through these pretty quickly, and you can get a copy of this. Marty said he was going to send you the slides so you'll have them. Of course, staying at a good weight cuts out a lot of disease, cuts out diabetes, hypertension, and heart disease in most people, high cholesterol too. Obesity is associated with so many bad things and more cancer too. Regular exercise. Exercise, I found the best thing about it, besides keeping your weight under control, is it's a great antidepressant and a great way to manage stress. It's important to be social. You know how older people, they get isolated and they get depressed and then they die. So as you age, keep all your friends and make new ones. Keep an active sex life. I showed this to my husband. Men who had sex 3 or more times a week looked an average of 12 years younger than they actually were. And I looked up that study. It was really hard to find, but it was actually there. I thought that was pretty cool. And of course, you probably all have heard this, staying mentally stimulated, you know, being involved, doing crossword puzzles, keeping your mind active. Stress reduction, which is what Marty talks about quite a bit, and we go through it as well. You need to get 7 to 8 hours of restful sleep. None of this 6 hours and whatnot. It has to be 7 to 8. And then this is making the smart dietary choices. It can mostly be summed up by eating a diet with fruits and vegetables, and low, like in carbohydrates and grains, and a small amount of protein, and eating the good fats. Maintain your immunity, we help you do that. People forget how much water they need to drink. You need to drink half of your weight in ounces. So if you weigh 100 pounds, you need to drink 50 ounces of water a day. And then be careful with alcohol. You know, I don't believe there's any real good things that come from drinking alcohol, even the way they say, oh, it raises your HDL. But there's so many other things that it doesn't do. Better to stay away if you can. Combat free radical damage. This is what I was talking about with the antioxidants. We have targeted antioxidants. Maybe you don't need all of these, so you really should be tested to find out what you do need, instead of just gulping a bunch of vitamins and minerals you don't know what you're doing. Of course, everybody knows that. Avoiding trauma is a little bit harder to do, but they put that in the list. And that's basically the end of my talk. And I'd be happy to take any questions.
Okay, hold on. Let's see.
Dr. Judi, thank you so much.
Unmuted.
I do have a quick question for you, if I may.
Yeah, who is this?
This is Ian.
Oh, Ian.
Ian Clark.
Yes, thank you. What is your...
Wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
I have a question for you, if I may ask. Are your clients, or patients, I should say, are your patients coming in unhealthy patients that want to get healthy, or are your patients healthy patients who want to add more years to their life?
God,
how could you quantify that for me?
That's such a good question. You know, I get both. It's really amazing. I get a certain amount of people that were athletic and took supplements and took care of themselves their whole life, and they just want to know what's going on, what's the latest thing they can do to keep staying healthy. And then I get people that are starting to feel like they're aging and falling apart, to tell the truth. But I do get people that have always been in good health and just want to continue it. They're the smart ones, the ones that started early. But it's never too late to start. I've had people start in, 60s, 70s, even in 80s, all got started and did very well.
Okay, thanks.
That's wonderful to know for myself.
Okay, thanks for that question,
I'm a
Ian.
poster child for the before picture.
Do we have any other questions from the other 3 people on here?